Estamos aquí con C.S. Packard, que nos va a hablar sobre su libro El Príncipe Cautivo. ¿Cómo estás el día de hoy?
Really good, thank you.
¿Te está gustando México?
I'm really enjoying Mexico, especially the people here are so warm and amazing. It's my first time to come here, so it's been a great trip for me.
Wow, qué bonito escuchar que te la estás pasando muy bien, nos da mucho gusto y vamos a empezar las preguntas sobre tu libro. Las acciones de Laurent a menudo son enigmáticas, impulsadas por un pasado complejo. ¿Cómo abordaste la escritura de sus motivaciones y cuánto de su historia de fondo planeaste antes de comenzar la serie?
So I planned everything before starting. That's just the only way that I can write. I must know the end first, and then I spend a lot of time planning. I think especially in fantasy, but maybe also in romance, it's good to know where you're going before you start. And then, the whole trilogy was planned from start to finish. As for Laurent, I spent a lot of time building his character and building his backstory. And then, because we meet him through the eyes of the other main character, Damon, whose viewpoint is extremely biased, there was two parts that I needed to plan. The first is Laurent's actions, and the second is the way that they're received by Damon. So it was a lot of planning work before I started.
Abordas temas difíciles como la esclavitud, el abuso, la violencia sin glorificarlos. ¿Cómo navegaste estos temas para asegurarte de que provocaran reflexión en lugar de simplemente generar impacto?
So the first thing that I'll say is for me, I grew up in a house that was extremely violent. And when you're a child and you're in a violent environment, you yearn to escape, but you can't escape because you're a child. And so the only way to escape is into your mind or into a book. So fantasy books became a place that I felt like I could go. And, the kind of stories that were very, just showed a normal daily life, or which just showed if you're a good person, good things will happen to you. I couldn't relate to those stories at all because they're just not my experience, not what I was going through. But the kind of extreme dark content that I was reading in fantasy was very comforting to me because I could encounter my own experiences. So I think it was natural for me to write a book that contained those themes because, if I just read a happy book, I just wanted to break through the book and just say but bad things happen too, right? Bad things are happening. But the last part of the answer is I don't necessarily think that the job of art is to tell a moral message. Some art, yeah, a fable or something, a fairy tale. But sometimes the purpose of art is just to make you feel something. There's some art that is just made to shock people, and I think that is okay as well. So it's not necessarily what I was trying to do in this, but I'm open to. I have a very permissive attitude towards books and content.
Aquielos y Veré son sociedades muy diferentes. ¿Qué mensaje querías transmitir al contrastar estas dos culturas, particularmente en sus actitudes hacia la esclavitud y el honor?
So, first of all, not about slavery, but just in general, I was I grew up reading a lot of fantasy, and like I'm a queer person, and especially in the 90s and early 2000s, like fantasy moral structures often exactly echoed like our own moral structures, especially when it came to LGBTQ people. Like LGBTQ people were oppressed in my real life, and then I would read a fantasy novel where it was like also LGBT people were oppressed in the fantasy world, and it gave this feeling that like to be queer equals to be oppressed, which across cultures, even into a fantasy. And I wanted to create a world that felt queer normative, at least like there wasn't the same sort of that it had very different prejudices to our own world. And then just to address the like slavery part of it, I wanted to make sure that these cultures, there's not one culture that was like good and one culture that was bad. Like they both have some good qualities and some absolutely terrible qualities, just like all cultures. So yeah, I didn't necessarily. It was important that I didn't build one villain country and one good country. So they both have problems, and I think both characters grow up in their own culture believing that it's normal, and it's only when they meet that they start to see their culture from the outside and realize there might be things about themselves and their culture that would be better if it was changed.
Algunos de los lectores tienen dificultades con la ficción que explora temas moralmente oscuros. ¿Qué papel crees que juegan estas historias en la literatura y qué les dirías a los lectores que se sienten incómodos con ellas?
For readers who are uncomfortable with them, I would say like that's completely fine, and you should not read anything that makes you uncomfortable or that you don't want to read. But I think, as I was saying earlier, as someone that grew up in kind of a dark situation, the kind of stories that made me uncomfortable were the stories where people were just happy all the time and no bad things happened, because I felt like it was a lie. It just felt like, and so I think the role of dark stories is to show the truth that life can be dark sometimes. And I think it's important to realize that like the same art that is uncomfortable for one person can be very consoling for another person, and vice versa. There's no one book that everyone will like or relate to. And so the more different types of stories that there are, I think the richer our artistic landscape will be.
Esta es la última pregunta que te tengo el día de hoy. Sobre los personajes, a menudo operan en situaciones moralmente ambiguas. ¿Qué tan importante fue evitar héroes y villanos claros? ¿Y qué esperas que los lectores saquen de estas complejidades?
For me, one of the things so I love fantasy, like I love it, but the one thing that I dislike in some fantasy is that it can have a very clear moral system where there's good guys and bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, nothing like life is not that simple, I think. But also, just again, like as a queer person, there was a period of literature and TV and film where the only time you would see queer people, like they're always portrayed as villains. And so, I had an experience of seeing storytellers construct moral frameworks where my type of person was always the bad guy. And I became really suspicious of those kind of clear moral frameworks. So I'm always interested in writing stories where there's shades of gray. I think it's more like, if you want to tell a story about a hero, it's so much harder to be a hero when the villain is not clear. Like when the choice is complicated. And that kind of story is more interesting to me.
Ok. Pues bueno, amigos, esa fue la última pregunta que le hicimos a C.S. Pacat. Algo que le quieras decir a los lectores de Lemas y a tus lectores mexicanos.
I'd just like to say thank you so much for reading, and that it's been such an amazing experience for me to come to Mexico and be able to meet some of you. I can't wait to come back.
Muchas gracias por la entrevista.
Thank you so much.